If you've ever thought that you need hundreds or thousands of dollars to create your online business or your online course, then this episode is for you. Today, what we are going to be talking about is bootstrapping your business and how you can set up and run your business on a budget with the lovely Stephanie Edwards. Stephanie grew up on a farm in rural Tennessee in the US. Little did she know that the entrepreneurial spirit of her family ruined her for any traditional career path. After studying journalism and art at the University of Tennessee, she moved into another tiny town in Tennessee, where she lives with her husband and 2 kids and runs her handmade businesses online. What began as a freelance graphic design business evolved into 2 e-commerce brands, Highland Ridge Decor and Jubilee Trading Company. As a handmade business owner, she loves advocating for conscious consumerism. Let's dive into the episode. Welcome to Bloggers Creating Courses, the podcast which will take you behind the scenes of creating an online course. I'm your host, Verity Songon, founder and education consultant of veritysongon.com. I'm so excited to help you create an online course that you are proud of and to be part of your journey to scale your business as an online course creator. Let's get into the episode. Stephanie, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful day here, a beautiful day looking at the glow of the sun in your window too.
It is. It was a bit murky earlier, but it's lovely now. But no, I'm excited to have you. So we have got so much that we're going to talk about on this episode, and I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about bootstrapping and how you can bootstrap your business, which I'm sure already there are some people who have tuned into this episode of the podcast and they're thinking, well, what on earth has this got to do with my online business? But if you are thinking that, bear with us, because I promise this has got so much relevance to online businesses and having your business online. And I'm so excited to have Stephanie on this episode to talk to us about bootstrapping and bootstrapping your online business. But before we dive into that, I'm going to hand over to you, Stephanie. Tell me, who are you? What is it that you do? Tell me your online business. Just tell me all the things about you.
Great. So I think at this point you could call me a serial entrepreneur. It's been a wild ride. But I started from scratch in 2014. I'd been a journalism and art major, and then I moved to a tiny town during the recession. So it was pretty much rethinking everything. So the basic timeline was I had just a tiny bit of graphic design experience. And so I figured freelance graphic design was just going to be a great place to start, and didn't have a portfolio. So how do you get clients without a portfolio? And so I saw other people doing well selling art on Etsy. And so I started with free digital download, or not free, free to make digital downloads, and sold those for $5 a pop. And so after I had enough $5 digital downloads of seeing what people liked, what customers were interested in, then I dug a little deeper into that. I bought a printer with the $5 purchases, and then started selling printed art. And I learned shipping from there. And that morphed into my dad's a full-time farmer, but had his eye on a piece of machinery that cut sheet metal. And a good salesman said, well, if you know a graphic designer, y'all can really make something happen. So we started piddling on that, and I ended up making my dad a lot busier with making art instead of farm machinery than he had anticipated. So then, after a few years of making my dad busier than he could really handle, I'm still doing, that's Highland Ridge Decor, and we're still doing that together, but I spun off to make work for people who needed more work. And so now I run Jubilee Trading Company, which is an ethical artisan brand, working right now with leather artisans in Morocco. So we've reiterated a few different times, and it's just really fun, and everything is built upon each other. And so, yeah, bootstrapping is near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely. It sounds like a fantastic journey. It really does. I don't know how you slept since like 2014 to get all that done. And I can just imagine your dad just, oh gosh, what project is she coming up with next? But that's great that you were able to get him involved. And yeah, it just sounds like an absolutely amazing journey. So that leads us on really nicely to the next question then of what is bootstrapping? How would you define what bootstrapping your business is?
Right. So for me, being a product-based business, essentially, that was starting really small. And honestly, I didn't put a penny of my own money into any of this, actually. It's all grown on itself. So it started with, I already owned a computer and I already owned graphic design software. So I did have those things. But yeah, so I started with that like really easy intro to the market of testing out with digital download art. Okay, what do people even like? Yes, this is a really low price point and it's not going to make me rich, but I'm learning before I spend too much time, energy, money on something, testing out what people are actually interested in. And none of those first designs made it very far, but I got better with my craft and I got a better pulse of what people are interested in, and kept taking steps from there. So, oh man, like that first like 15 pieces of art, I don't think they were still live like a year after, but it was a great learning point, and just taking these small baby steps that led to, I think that moving small and taking small steps actually builds a stronger foundation, because I at first thought that I really liked custom art and custom graphic design projects. And then I realized I much more appreciated making a piece of art one time and then like printing it off 100 times instead of having to like spend all of that creative energy over and over again. And so then I shut down my custom design work and focused on my storefront. And then I learned and understood shipping, and I realized that I liked it. Shipping is fun for me. It feels like I'm wrapping up Christmas presents like every single day.
I love that.
It is still a joy. So I found that out about myself and realized I like to lean into that. And I like to lean into, I really enjoyed putting my dad to work instead of me having to make all of the pieces. And so I realized, oh, hey, I enjoy getting my hands dirty and making things, but I think I actually do better as a manager instead of like staying in that creative mindset all the time. And so then I pivoted to managing more people and brought on my leather artisans as well. And I also screen print tea towels with a local screen printer. So yeah, that's become step by step. I realized, okay, I'm at this place, and what are the things that are A, profitable, of course, and then B, I actually enjoy doing, like my fire, and then taking steps further and further in that direction. Yeah.
I think that's so, I don't know, that just speaks to me so much. I speak to people so often when they're creating their online courses, or, they're getting started in their digital business space, whatever that digital business might be. And they're like, but I don't have enough money to do this. I need, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars because I need this membership site, or I need this platform and this program. And like you said, the majority of us, I'm not going to speak for everybody in the world, but the majority of us we've either got a laptop or an iPad or some kind of tablet or a computer device, and you can get started for free. I mean, there's so many platforms where, okay, maybe they're not free long term, or maybe they're only free with certain features or functions, but actually when you're starting out, you don't need a lot of top level functions and top level tiers and what have you. And exactly. I love what you said there about you just went on this journey of getting to know both yourself within your company, but also getting to know yourself within your craft. And again, I just think that's so important when it comes to any digital business kind of space, because I think so often we go into these ideas, myself included, probably everybody with a digital business, we go into these ideas thinking, yeah, this is what I'm going to do because this is what I'm passionate about, or this is what I love doing, or I saw this on Instagram, whatever it is that kind of pushed us into that area in the first place. And it's remembering that we can evolve. We don't have to stick in that, put ourselves in a little box, I suppose, and we can get to know ourselves better with our craft and as we manage our business. And it's so interesting what you were saying about how you've kind of ended up delving into bits of your business that you didn't think that you would be interested in, or maybe you didn't even know kind of existed as parts of the business when you started out. So I think that's so powerful. And I'm sure there are so many people currently sitting there listening to this thinking, oh my gosh, she started out without having to put into the business, which I think is a brilliant message, because like I said, so many people, they turn around to me and they say, but I can't teach online. I was talking to somebody just recently, they said, I can't teach online because I don't have any fancy camera equipment. And I was like, well, what's your point? I don't understand. And she said, but I need a huge camera setup. I was like, right, okay, there are some purists out there who are going to absolutely shoot me for saying this, but I still record my training videos on the built-in camera that's on my laptop or my computer. I do not have any fancy recording equipment at
Absolutely.
all. And so I was like, if
I feel like that's
years,
that's honestly like imposter syndrome with like, okay, if I check all these boxes, then I'm good enough. Whenever you're good enough, like this is just equipment. That's no. If you start and you work towards it, then all the other things fall into place later.
Exactly, 100%. And that's exactly what I said to her. I said, just because you've got this amazing equipment doesn't mean that the video you end up producing is amazing. It doesn't mean that the content that you end up producing is amazing. And I'm sure that was probably the same for you along your journey as well, thinking, I have to have this product, and it's difficult to relay those fears sometimes in yourself, thinking, oh my gosh, but my competitor has got this, that and the other. And it's so easy for us to compare ourselves to each other, isn't it? And it's ends up that I think that's a kind of a conversation for another day, how we end up comparing ourselves.
That's an entire podcast itself,
isn't it? Just absolutely. But no, I love that. I think that's so inspirational, because your company has just gone from strength to strength. We were talking just a couple of weeks ago about all the things that you're doing. So to hear that you've started that literally from $0 is amazing. It's
and I'm continuing to I am just addicted to chasing shiny objects at this point, and I do have to rein it in. I know that I can't do everything, but like even thinking about what's next for me, because I can't stay in one place very long. Like I had a conversation last week fleshing out a different idea of like, okay, I've gotten really good at shipping, so how can I serve others through that? Because that's what I want to do now, is like serve others through my business instead of just like making my own things, creating opportunities for others. And now I'm like, oh, hey, like I've got all this space and I'm really great at shipping. I already shipped 2 different brands. What if I was somebody's warehouse of somebody who's in another country that just like can't crack the American market because they don't live here in shipping timelines. I'm like, I can do that. Hey, let's like see. And it may not work, but like that's an example of like, okay, I see my strengths here and what I'm good at, and then how can I like level up on something that I'm already interested in and good at. So it's just a constant evolution, and it's really fun.
I love that so much. It's just, I love that whole transformational perspective of, this is where I could be, let's try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least we've tried. And if it doesn't work, but we still want to achieve the same kind of goal, maybe we'll just like root cause analysis that a little bit and figure it out. But I love that. Just, try it out, because you're never going to know unless you try, really, are you? So good luck with that shipping avenue. I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, but I guess like a fundamental thing in this like test and go system is being really comfortable with failure. Like everything that you test is not going to work out. I do not. My first round of art, I thought I was going to be like so purist, and I did like have an art minor. It was almost a major. Spent a lot of time in the art realm, and so I was going to hand draw everything and then scan it in, and it'd be like this beautiful system. that did not last long. I am a graphic designer type instead of like the pen and paper watercolor type. And it just wasn't my strong suit. And yes, I put that art out into the world and people saw it. And I mean, I was proud of like what I was capable of, but it doesn't hold a candle to like what other people are doing. But I tried it and I exercised those muscles. And then I found something else that worked better and I ditched that one altogether. And it's just constant like, okay, I'm not afraid to put this out there with our kind of work. I feel like we kind of put our heart and soul out onto the internet, and the internet is a ruthless place.
100%.
And so you got to be comfortable with that first off, and not being afraid of A, sharing it with the world, and then B, like changing. There's no shame in deciding, hey, I started that and it's actually not working out for whatever reason, and then pivot into a way that it does. There's nothing wrong with that.
100%. I love that so much. And like you said, it just applies to everybody who's got a business on the internet. There's nothing wrong with pivoting, because we know that, things go through trends and fashions and all this kind of thing. And what works one week won't work the following week. And you've just got a strategy down, and then an algorithm changes or whatever. It's just the world that we're working in, isn't it? And I love that, of just never be afraid to say, actually maybe this didn't work and I'm just going to try something else instead, or in a different direction. Exactly, you're never going to know unless you try. I feel like that's going to be the motto of this episode.
There you go. That's like the motto of my life. How hard could it be is the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. What have you got to lose, I believe, is what I tend to say an awful lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I suppose then that brings us on really nicely to my next question that I'm dying to ask you, is what advice would you have for anybody who either is bootstrapping their online business at the moment, or somebody who's now listening to this and thinking, yeah, I can bootstrap my business completely? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Oh man,
it's a big question, I realize.
I've been mulling over this morning. This was actually like in church yesterday, was like a thing that was talked about, is like appreciating the season that you're in and what you're learning in it, and that you're being shaped by your current like willingness to just show up and do your best, even if what you've got is like really uninspiring. Tax season is always that for me. And then, so I can look back even to my childhood, and I grew up on working farm. I was driving tractors as a teenager, just like I hated it. But I grew this really strong work ethic that is a huge foundation for where I am now. And then showing up in my first job out of college was a cubicle situation. I was a grunt team member, had a really good team, but I had been a journalism major and I got hired on to sell jewelry, essentially like writing the talking points to sell jewelry. And I was like a social good justice warrior, and like here selling luxury items that nobody needed. And it was just like a little bit soul killing, even though I loved that job for what it was. But I learned so much. That was my first entry into like branding and like warehousing and shipping, which now I do. And then the team there that worked with me, I was the tiny little baby of the team, and they all had kids my age. And the things that they taught me about building a product line and marketing, I now am thinking about. And so if I had just like shown up to that job that was uninspiring at the time and just like muddled through and didn't care, then I wouldn't have gotten all of that knowledge. And so even the people who are like super bootstrapping, still working their day job, doing this in the evenings, there's still stuff to learn from the season that you're in. Oh my gosh, I have little kids. And so parenting is hard. And like the faithfulness of just being like, I am going to change this diaper with joy because I love this child. And the patience that you learn from that also translates to, oh man, customer service. Whew. And so many things, just show up and do your best in everything that you're doing and treat everything as a learning opportunity. And so that even if you're working on your business 5% of the time right now, you're still becoming a good business owner, because you can't run your own business if you don't have self-control and perseverance and all of those like major character qualities that you don't just wake up one day and have. Like, you have to earn those the hard way. So that's kind of an all-encompassing answer, but I'm still like focusing on it today, 7 years in. Yeah.
I love that. So I feel like I've said that an awful lot this episode of I love that, but it's so true. But what you're saying, there's so much value in it, because I think so often people think that setting up a business, the be all and end all is the money and how much you've got in your back pocket that you can put into it. But like you said, it's the showing up, it's those character traits, it's the relying on yourself, that resilience, that persevering. If we don't have those qualities or work on those qualities, then you can have as much money as you want in the world. Your business isn't going anywhere. So I think that is just, there's so much value in concentrating on what else you can bring to your business, and that it's not just the monetary aspect. It's not bringing in this person necessarily, or this feature from this website, or this platform, I don't know, all the things that we kind of think we have to have all these things to make our business run. Like you said, quite often it's about us showing up, it's about us being consistent, us persevering, us having that end goal, and maybe it shifts a few times, but us working towards something. And absolutely, and if we are parenting and changing those nappies at the same time, I feel you. I'm right down with you. But or whatever it is that you've got going on in your life, you're working another job, you're in school, whatever it is, like you said, it's showing up when you can, and learning as you go. That's so valuable too. Like you said, just remember that the money aspect is not the be all and end all of it at all. Yeah. I love that.
If you're chasing the money, then entrepreneurship is probably not the quickest avenue for that.
No, absolutely.
Especially if you're going for really high cash out really fast, that's a high risk opportunity too. So it's the slow growth that's stable and pays off in the end.
Absolutely, and just having that plan, I suppose, of where you want to go, having those goals, and being able to work. So even if you don't know 100% what those goals are going to look like, vague goals are fine to work with. They're absolutely fine. But as long as you've got something that you're working towards there, is which is achievable, I suppose. Like you said, unlike quite saying, right, by next week I'm going to be a millionaire, or by Christmas I'm buying this car because I've earned this much money. Go for it, by all means, but might not be the most realistic. So definitely about being that having that realism, and like you said, showing up. I love that.
I like what you said about vague goals. I feel like that's been the step-by-step of my life. Is like, I started out seeing that other people were artists selling. I sold on Etsy at first. It was super easy, and you see, it's hard to be what you can't see is like a thing that you hear floating around, and you aim for that like vague goal of something that you can see. And then as you feel that out, not being married to that thing that you're like aiming for, but seeing how that works for you, how that fits you. And then, like I shared, that's happened to me. You pivot into something that feels more natural, or an opportunity that's a better fit for your lifestyle, or things you don't even realize you love first off. But with every step you go down that path, you're more aware of the world of opportunities. And if you're only aiming for something that you already see, then you're aiming for something that like somebody else is already filling that void. And so like, I'm 7 years in, and now I'm thinking about like things on the other side of the world that I could not have been prepared for 7 years ago in any which way. So then I'm becoming somebody that doesn't exist yet, and I'll be that first person or one of a small handful of those. But you have to start with that vague goal of, all right, I'm going to aim for this and see what happens, and then just continue to evolve from there. And I think that's really fun.
Absolutely. It is a really fun process. I completely agree with you. Really fun. Yeah, that is just so, so valuable. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. There's been so much value, and I hope that so many people are able to take so many bits from that. I've learned an awful lot speaking to you. I really have learned so much, and it is just about showing up. It's about that consistency, 100%. And I'm going to link as well down in the show notes. We've got all of your links for your websites and your social media. That's all going to go down in the show notes. So if anybody wants to look up your businesses that you've mentioned, then that'll all be there for them too. I'm pointing down like I'm on a YouTube channel. I just realised there's no one below me. There's nothing below me. It's a podcast, Verity. But so yeah, everything will be down there for people to have a look and look you up there.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've enjoyed. This is a great way to start my day. I was just like getting pumped about exciting opportunities that are just like abstract, but I'm excited for everyone listening to this who's like on a journey into that unknown. It's like, those are my favorite people. I just want to hang out with all the people that are listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today. And I really hope that everybody enjoys this podcast episode as much as I've enjoyed speaking to you and recording it. It's been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Bloggers Creating Courses. I would be absolutely privileged if you could hit those 5 stars on your iTunes and give us a review for this podcast. Leaving reviews for podcasts not only makes me really happy because I get to see how much you're enjoying the content that we're putting out there, but it also helps other bloggers find our podcast because it helps iTunes promote the podcast to other listeners. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time, and happy content creating.